So I said I was going to share my fibromyalgia story today, so I'm going to do that. Um, I don't want this website to be all doom and gloom. I don't want to focus on all the negative stuff. However, I feel like I can't share with you the joy that I feel about exploring things such as makeup and fashion and sorry, you're going to see my ring light in my glasses apparently. I don't feel like I can truly share all the joy of everything that I'm going to explore and adventure this year without talking about sort of what spurred this. So yesterday on Facebook, I posted a link to my depression and anxiety podcast that I did almost a year ago, I guess. It was probably a little bit over a year ago. But little did I know that that was only a little piece of the puzzle. So last year, Corona hit, and I spent a lot of time just trying to explore myself, and I just felt horrible all the time. There were things that I wanted to do that I wasn't physically able to do. I mean, even just going out to the grocery store for 45 minutes or an hour, I would be exhausted and have to come home for a nap. The headaches every morning were just so bad. Like, it took me hours to be able to function. I just didn't feel good. I couldn't remember things. The brain fog was horrible. And, I've seen some other people deal with dementia and Alzheimer's, and I'm thinking, do I have early onset or Alzheimer's? So I spoke with a friend of mine over the summer. She came to pick up some zucchini out of our garden, and I was asking her questions. I'm like, these are all the things that I feel. I've been going to doctors for years. I'm sure, oh, sorry, there's my glass. I'm sure there's something systematically wrong with me. I can't have all of these little things like the Raynaud's and the brain fog and the anxiety and the depression and the unexplained weight gain and the pain in my joint. Like, one person can't have all of these super random things and not have them be connected somehow. So she talked with me a little bit about her struggles with getting a diagnosis for fibromyalgia, and I wasn't sure at that point in time that fibromyalgia was even what was wrong, but I knew that there was something else wrong. So I needed a doctor that would help me investigate that. So she told me about her struggles in finding a doctor that would listen to her, that would listen to the symptoms, that would, just help her feel better. And I know she had been struggling for years. So she gave me the name of somebody, and I'm like, I'm going to go ahead and call now because it's going to be 3 months before I get an appointment. Well, lo and behold, somehow there was a cancellation the following week, and I got in to see him within 5 days. So I go to see him, and I feel sort of strange because he's a very cerebral man, does not look at you in the eye. I felt like I was in an interrogation, but I'm like, I just got to go with it. I got to figure out what this is. And at the end of the interrogation, and he's asking me about, when do you feel most energetic? Do you have problems with this? Do you have problems with that? He's like, I saw you put down here Raynaud's. Not many people know what Raynaud's is. Tell me about how you got diagnosed with that. I was 20. It was before I had Jack. So I was probably 26 or 27 when I was diagnosed with Raynaud's. And it was basically, I was at the doctor's, and I was there for sinus infection. And I said, can I just ask you a question? I'm like, when it gets cold outside and I'm walking, I feel like my feet are going to shatter, like they're glass, and they're just going to shatter to pieces. So she had me take off my socks, and my feet were purple, and it was wintertime. And she's like, it's Raynaud's disease. And I said, okay, what does that mean? What do I do about it? And she goes, well, basically just keep your extremities warm. So I've spent 30 years, not quite 30 years, 20 years trying to keep my extremities warm. One day we'll do a post about all of the things that I've researched to keep warm. But that's for another time. So anyway, going back to Dr. Louie, he asked me all these questions. And I'm sort of feeling defeated at this point because, again, he's not making eye contact. I feel like I'm being interrogated. And he's just like, I try to diagnose everybody before I even meet them. That really caught me off guard. He goes, I can tell a lot by somebody's symptoms, what they encounter day to day. He goes, tests lie. Tests only give me a snapshot of that immediate moment, that snapshot in time. If you're not in a fibro flare or, I don't know what they call it in the autoimmune world, but in fibro world, we call it a flare. If you're not in a flare, it might show up as nothing's wrong. Plus, with so many of these invisible diseases, they don't show up on some of these tests, the normal tests that everybody does. So, sorry, I'm going to have a sip of my coffee. So I really found that refreshing, the fact that he's like, I want to hear about your symptoms. I want to hear about your day-to-day because that will help me. So when he said that I like to diagnose everybody before I even meet them, he's like, what we've just talked about has confirmed confirmed potentially 3 different options. And he goes, and at this point, I'm just trying to rule out options. He goes, there's a test for rheumatoid arthritis. He's like, we're going to do that because that's one of the things. He goes, there is a test for lupus. So we're going to do that. There is not a test for fibromyalgia. He goes, they will do the sensitivity pinpoint test. He goes, that is antiquated. That is not a true sign. Again, if you're not in a flare or you're not inflamed at that moment, me pushing on these pinpoints might not show anything, but you might still have fibromyalgia. You're just not in a flare right now. So I did the test and I went back, I don't know, maybe 3 weeks later, and he was asking me how I was doing. And he's like, he goes off on these tangents, which again, I'm just trying to be patient. I'm trying to get answers. And he goes, you have fibromyalgia. The test for RA was negative. The test for lupus was negative. But these are the things that I'm seeing. And based on your history, I think it's fibromyalgia. So he wanted to put me on Lyrica, which at that point, I'm like, you know what? I'm just going to do what I need to do in order to function. We'll figure out the next steps after I can function, but let's start functioning. So I went ahead and I started on the Lyrica. They slowly increase your dose because you have to sort of wean yourself onto them and off of them. And I couldn't do the higher dose. At the very, baseline dose, I could do that. It took the edge off a little bit. I still didn't feel good. But once I went up to that higher dose, I felt like I was stoned all the time. I remember walking Remington out in the yard, and I felt like my brain and the essence of me was separated from my body. Almost sort of like, I knew my physical being was there, but I felt like I was like floating above it and observing myself. It was the most bizarre thing. Did not like it. I could not function. So I went ahead and I dialed back to the lower dose, and that's just where I stayed. I was able to function better. By the time it started wearing off in the evening, I could feel it. I would start with the itching, like to the point where I would gouge myself. My shoulders would just itch. My joints would hurt. So I'd lay on the couch and I'd just be moving all the time. Couldn't stop it. So at that point is when I decided that I was going to do everything in my power, A, to get off the meds, B, to not let fibro destroy me. So I did a lot of research, read a lot of books. The Fibro Manual is fantastic. It's written by a doctor who actually has fibromyalgia. So not only has she studied the science of it, but she's lived it. What fibromyalgia is basically your hypothalamus is not behaving, and it sends your body into a constant state of fight or flight. Every stimulus is just like a nuclear bomb, a bee sting. Actually, maybe that hurts a little more. Let me think of something else. So, so my husband would like nudge me, or, playing around and you're elbowing each other. And I'd be like, ow. And he's like, there's no way that hurt. I'm like, yeah. And it's not like he was being hurtful. It's just every stimulus just was an explosion. And it wasn't just physical stimulus. It was also mental stimulus. So stress. It was hard to control sometimes my emotions when in a stressful situation, because it just, my husband would say, you cried over water not boiling fast enough. Something as simple as, that. It was just enough of an anxiety-driven thing that I would just fall to pieces. It was just an explosion in my body. So I came up with a plan to get off the meds, to live a better life, and I decided I was going to do it in small steps, incremental, intentional steps. So in October, I had found a chiropractor that actually specializes somewhat in fibromyalgia and autoimmune diseases. And I went to him, and actually he's down in Virginia, and went through the whole story. And I'm like, I'm going to give this a month. Let's see what happens. Again, small incremental changes. So, he's like, you need to come 3 times a week. We're going to do this for this amount of months. He put this whole plan together, and it probably took the full month. And after 30 days of 3 times a week going and getting adjusted, the morning headaches stopped. I could wake up in the morning and I didn't want to cry. I didn't need to immediately go and grab the coffee, because that was the only way I functioned before. And it took hours for me to be able to function. Let me take a step back. Let me just tell you why I decided to go to a chiropractor. So knowing that fibromyalgia is neurological, I'm like, okay, if you start manipulating the spine is where all the neurological messages travel throughout your whole body. So let's start with that, and let's let that highway, let's make that highway, straight in a construction-free zone. So that's why I chose chiropractic as my first option. So again, the headaches were gone. I did start feeling some relief. I still had a lot of weakness in my arms. So then in November, I added on massage therapy. The reason for that, these weren't willy-nilly plans. They're like, I had intentions for each one. So the reason for the massage therapy was because my chiropractor was having problems adjusting me, because every single muscle in my body was, again, on high alert. It was so tense. He's like, I can't move it. And I would go for 2 hours every 2 weeks to the massage therapist. And it wasn't one of those, I'm in a spa robe. Like, there were times I wanted to cry, but I knew I had to do this in order to make myself feel better. I had to work through the pain to get to the other side. I had to get my body to the point where it wasn't a constant state of pain. And the only way I was going to do that was by going through what I was going through. On top of all of this, based on some recommendations, actually mostly from a recommendation from one of my daughter's friends who had a foot injury, who, swears that collagen powder helped her heal much better. I started having collagen powder in my coffee every morning. So that was another thing that I added into the mix. So again, adjusting, I'm getting stronger, I'm feeling better, the pain's getting less, the pain's moving a little bit as we're adjusting, the body. So December, I sort of took that off because it was Christmas and we were busy, but I knew in January I had to come up with the next step. So to me, logically, the next step was to get some of the weight off. Nobody could tell me why I was gaining weight. I was tracking my food. I was doing as much activity as I could. Nobody could tell me why I was gaining weight, other than the meds. So I found a program, and we can talk offline about this program if you want more information. But I found a program that was easy for me. It is actually very eye-opening because it gets you thinking more about the food that you ingest, the portions of food, how you prepare your food. There's also, the biggest part of weight loss is your brain. Letting go of those limiting thoughts. Stop making excuses. You just got to do it. And my reason was bigger than me. It wasn't that I wanted to look cute in a bathing suit. It was, I'm going to be 50 this year, and I don't want to spend the rest of my life in pain. And I don't want to just sit in bed or sit on a couch or sit on the sidelines and not do the things that bring me joy, and not do the things that can make a difference in the lives of my friends and family. So, added in the weight loss. So on this program, and again, the weight loss wasn't the primary thing. It was actually feeling better that was the primary thing. So I want you to keep that in your mind, that wasn't the primary reason of doing this program. And pardon the mess behind me. We're redoing this room and everything just got dumped behind me. So I added this program. Within a week, I stopped needing the muscle relaxers to go to bed at night. I don't know that it was this program specifically that allowed that to happen. I think it was a combination of eating clean, detoxing my body, going to the chiropractor, going to the massage therapist, doing all the things I needed to do. So, week 1 on this program, and I was off the muscle relaxers, which I absolutely needed in order to go to sleep at night because the pain from the fibro was just so excruciating I couldn't sleep. And actually, I had a friend post last night, 2 nights ago. She had her first night of sleep without medication, and she couldn't remember how long. I'm like, and it feels great, doesn't it? The fact that when you give your body what it is that it needs, your body will take care of you, and you can sleep. So in the first week, I was able to do that. In a month, I had already lost 15 pounds. The impact on my joints was incredible. I'm not doing heavy exercise, mostly just walking Remington, and we're hiking and stuff. And, we're doing anywhere from 4 to 7 miles a day. That was really tough this time last year. Just getting off the couch was really hard this time last year. So then I go to the massage therapist, because I had started, instead of going every other week to the massage therapist, I started going every month. So one of my fibro symptoms was I would have these adhesions, mostly in my calves, and I've done dry needling on them, massage, like it's basically like you have gravel in your muscles. And Stevie, my massage therapist, would spend a good half an hour to 45 minutes just on my calves alone trying to get these adhesions to release. So at this point, when I'm at this session with my massage therapist, I'm doing the chiropractic care, I'm doing the collagen, I'm on this new weight loss health program, and yes, I'm seeing the massage therapist. She is digging into my calves, and I'm just laying there. I'm like, this is the moment of truth. I am just lying there. When she's done, my left calf, which is the bad leg, I said, oh my gosh, I didn't feel any adhesions. And she said, I wasn't going to say anything. She goes, I was digging deep. I was digging deep to try to find some. She goes, I found 2 really little ones, but whatever you're doing, you are healing yourself. So, around that time, we were having a snowstorm, and I ran out of my antidepressants. I was on a very, very, very low dose. My therapist had been on me for about 2 years now to try to get off of that. And because I couldn't get my refill done, guess what? I stopped taking it. I'm 30 days off of my antidepressant, and I'm doing great. So what's next? So I'm continuing with the chiropractic care. We actually had a reevaluation yesterday, and I'm getting ready to graduate to the next level. I was joking with them yesterday saying how I feel like I'm in elementary school and I'm moving up from 3rd grade to 4th grade. So I'm going to start going once every other week. So I've gone from 3 times a week to 2 times a week to once a week to now once every other week. That's how I'm progressing. I'm also going to the doctor's next week. To see if I can get off the atorvastatin, which I don't want to have a heart attack, and heart disease does run in my family. But I know the bad side effects from it. So we're going to test my cholesterol. I'm down 20 pounds at this point. We're going to test my cholesterol, see if we can get off that. The Lyrica, which I knew I had to be on at first, but my body just couldn't handle it. I want to start getting off the Lyrica. I want to see if I am truly healing myself. Caveat, if you have fibromyalgia, everybody's fibromyalgia is different. Everybody's reaction to things is different. So what's working for me may not work for you. But I challenge you, whatever it is that whatever phase, whatever season you're in now, whether it's a health thing, whether it's a weight thing, whether it's a brain thing, whether it's depression, come up with a plan to get yourself out of it, because nobody else is going to do it. The doctors can't get you out of it. They'll just keep giving you more meds. Your husband, your boyfriend, your girlfriend, your kids, they can't get you out of it. You have to do the work. Come up with a plan and do one step at a time. I think I mentioned in my last post how frustrated I got with some of these fibromyalgia support groups online. And it was just, I don't want to put down other people's pain, but it was so desperate. There was no sense of hope. And I just want to say, take one step. Get out of bed today. Go take a shower. Go do something that makes you happy. Do your hair, do your makeup. You don't have to go run a marathon. It starts with one step. If you're not happy with, the weight that you're at, take one step. And you know what? You can call me. You can message me. We can chat about it. I was in a virtual conference on Monday with Jamie Kern Lima, who is the founder of It Cosmetics. And it was actually a very long conference. It was 10 hours long. I couldn't make it that long. My brain just won't let me focus for that long. But I made it through 6 hours of it. And one common thread to every speaker: you are not alone. You're not alone. There are so many of us with fibro, with weight issues, with self-doubt, with all of these things, all these walls that we've built up in our head that are keeping us from the lives that we want and that we deserve and that we've earned. So that's my story. This is how I'm moving forward. I know so many of you have mentioned, some of your struggles and shared your struggles with me. You don't have to live that way, but only you can change that. Only you can change that. So thank you so much for listening to me just ramble. I just thought it was very important to sort of share my jumping off point as to where I was going with all the fun stuff that comes with being an empty nester. Yeah, so let's keep the conversation going. Message me. You can private message me if you don't want to post. Let's talk about what's going on with you. And you know what? Let's just live our best lives. But again, only you can change it. Thank you. Bye, guys.